I'm the only white face in this area. You don't belong here. Stop, I'll shoot you in the back.
Unfortunately, I got a little nervous tonight because Coppville was in the building, so I'm trying to compose myself.
What's going on, guys? Another episode of Locked Up with Coppville. My new intro with my favorite part there, Mike Marsh. Telling everybody he was scared of me. I have a great guest today. Introduce yourself, my friend.
My name's Gary Winheim. I'm a retired captain with the Eustis Police Department up in Lake County.
And you might be the highest. Oh no, Lance was a deputy chief. You're the second highest ranking now. Lance was a deputy chief. You're a captain. So we talked about your story. It's one of the more ridiculous ones, as I'm learning in law enforcement, that there are so many. So here we are on Coppville, Locked Up with Coppville. I'm going to let you lay it out for everybody. And as a command staff member, tell us how life was at Eustis Police Department and what you went through there in your career.
Yeah, man. First of all, thanks for having me on. And
Absolutely.
We got to tell these stories, man. We got to get it out.
Yep.
Because law enforcement, this isn't what it's all about. My dad did 30 years with the Oregon State Police. I'm second generation. And this isn't how your career is supposed to go or how it's supposed to be.
Yeah, yours is pretty bad. So
yeah, it was good. So I started in 96. Started as patrol. It's where everybody starts. Did a year and a half before I made K9. I was kind of a high-speed, low-drag guy. So I had a narcotics K9, which I worked for 6.5 years. Had a lot of fun doing that. Once you start getting promoted, you got to go out of K9. I got promoted to corporal and then to sergeant. Went into the detective division, ran the detective division for a while, and then got promoted to lieutenant. The way our rank structure worked at Eustis, it's small. It was a 44-man department when I started in 96, and I think they're up to 43 now. So it shows you the growth of the agency. When you get promoted, you got to quit doing the fun stuff. You got to go inside. And the way we were set up, we had the chief and we had 3 lieutenants. Lieutenant over Office of Professional Standard, lieutenant over patrol, and a lieutenant over criminal investigations. So I came in as lieutenant over patrol, took over criminal investigations for a while. And then we decided that lieutenants weren't working for us because when you call up other agencies and you're like, hey, I'm a lieutenant, and they're like, yeah, give me somebody higher. So we made, the 3 of us made ourselves captains. So we went to captain. So we had the chief, 3 captains, and then sergeants and below from there.
So you did hearing that. So I've been doing this quite a few days, podcasting and cop, but I can already tell in that minute and a half that you were a real cop. Like, I don't have to hear much more. Everybody, oh, you made a captain. You just rattled off in a very confident way and a very intelligent way that your resume and your career, I can tell, speaks for itself. So I want to put that out there as my observation. But so you make it all the way up to captain, living the dream. And tell us about Eustis, Florida. What goes on there? Where is it? What was it about?
It's a small town, chain of lakes up here in Lake County. So, everything's on the water, and we got 22,000 people. Of course, an influx when the wintertime happens and all the snowbirds come in. We are 20 minutes from the villages. Okay. So we get a lot of people in, and most people know of Mount Dora, and we're right next to Mount Dora. It's just your average Florida town. We're an hour from Orlando, so we get a lot of that crap that comes up from Orlando, and we can be as busy as we want to be, honestly. And, like you said, the progression of the career, I met a lot of cops who did 20 years and their last 10 were the same day over and over again. Mm-hmm. You got to keep progressing in this, and you got to keep learning. I was SWAT for 14 years. I helped start the SWAT team, ended as the SWAT commander. Of course, ran K9. I was the Traffic Homicide Investigation supervisor. Small town, small agency, you're going to wear a lot of hats.
Yeah.
I did. I wore as many of them as I came. They brought me inside for a year, and I brought in the CAD system, the Spillman CAD system. I had nothing, no computer background. They're like, hey, you're going to bring this in. All right. So you do that for a year. So yeah, it was a great career, great progression. And then in 2013 was my first critical incident. Okay. Had a gentleman take himself hostage, had warrants, and he ran from the Lake County Sheriff's Office warrants unit, ran out onto a roof of a building. They called the SWAT team because he barricaded with a 380 to his head. And I responded to the staging area, And since I was a team leader and Eustis SWAT, they said, hey, gear up. And you know the apartment, you know the guy, get in the stack with us. So I did. Went out on that entry. They decided 5 o'clock, he's right on a main road. We're shutting down traffic. We got to end this. So you're going to go out and make contact with him, bag him, tase him, and take him into custody. Of course, all the SWAT guys are like, man, that's a terrible idea. But, you know, what do you do when you're told to do it?
It sounds pretty terrible.
Yeah. So we did. And my buddy next to me bagged him with a 40-millimeter launcher. I don't know if you've ever seen anybody get hit with that, but yeah,
it's not pretty.
No, it's not. He did not like it.
Not
I
pretty.
tased him right when he bent over, missed one prong, so I didn't get a full tase, and he shot himself in the head. So 380 through and through his head and hits the guy standing next to me in the knee.
Wow.
Everybody clears out. You know, we get him transported. The guy actually lived. Next thing I turn around, I'm standing on the roof by myself because I'm with another team. They all did their thing, and I'm like, okay. So I go to the church for a debrief. I go to walk in. They're like, team's debriefing. I'm like, yeah, right. That's why I'm here. They're like, no. Team's debriefing. So I was in CID at the time. I'm wearing dress pants, a dress shirt. I get out of my SWAT gear, go sit down at my desk, and I'm like, what just happened, man? I get up from my desk. I go do this entry. I'm hours in this place. Finally do it. I come back out, and then I just gear down and go back to my desk. And there's no decompression. There's no conversation. There's just, hey, that's your job. Go do it.
Did they did Lake County handle the entire incident? So you were just an extra body in the stack?
Yeah, it was their incident to begin with. And the only reason I was in the stack is because I knew the area and I knew the guy. I knew the apartment. So, you know, I was an asset to the team. And they knew me. We did a lot of training with Lake County anyways. So, you know, we can all slot together and work together. But it was, and I did talk to the team leader afterwards, the team commander, and I told him, I said, hey, man, you dropped the ball on that. I said, you debrief your guys, you debrief all of them, everybody that was in the incident. Man, you're right. Won't let that happen again. Cool. It's a learning tool. We move on. So that was my first introduction to, okay, you're going to have these critical incidents that you just got to figure out in your head.
Did you have to like write reports and all them for them, or did you just leave and go home? You never wrote a report in that?
Nothing.
You tased the guy.
I half tased him.
You attempted to tase
to tase him.
Ultimately shot himself in the head and shot a cop, and you never wrote a report.
No.
And they handled the whole incident. And
sure, that's their scene. Hey,
wow.
Need anything from me? Nope. Okay.
Even I'm not. That doesn't sound. I mean, I know it's a small area, and I guess for guys working in big cities, they would even you getting in the stack seems. I get it, but it just seems strange.
Very.
I don't think that would happen now.
Unless
it was a super small town with like a multi-agency unit. But like I know in town I live in, no way. Once they may be there, like as another team available, but there's no way you're going to integrate a guy into a stack of other SWAT guys.
Very
like a school shooting or something massive.
Very unusual. And like you said, I doubt it would happen. In fact, the team leader who was putting the mission together when I was gearing up, somebody goes, hey, Winheim's in the stack. And he was like, what? And they said, yeah, Winheim's going in with you. He's like, oh, okay. You know, so it just happened.
So that was what year? 2013?
2013.
No mental evaluation for you, no critical incident, nothing. Nobody came to and said, hey, or how, you know, you just watch a guy
go back to my desk and wait till 5 o'clock. Day's over.
just another day, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So that was January 7th of 2013. January 7th became my permanent day off. January 7th of 2014, I got called by Leesburg Police Department. They were conducting an investigation on a guy who had been dating his girlfriend's daughter for about 4 years, from the ages of 9 to 13. Disgusting human. And he had lived in Eustis. We had a previous report with him as well. So they called, because she had made the complaint. So they were going to do the investigation. They wanted us involved. They said, hey, will you come over to Leesburg and help us out with this? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. If I can put charges on him for what he did in Eustis, I'm more than happy to do it. So we went to his apartment to talk to him. And he was, from get-go, you could tell this guy was off. We had information that he had child porn on his phone and child porn on his PSP. So, of course, we were going to look for those things. And I went there with two other detectives, two Leesburg detectives. We're in his apartment. We're talking to him. And conversation's going pretty good until I said, hey, man, where's your phone? Because, don't you have a phone number for this person I'm, talking about? Oh, yeah. He grabs his phone, and I took it out of his hand. I was like, cool, I'm going to need that. And it changed. And I looked over on his living room table, and I said, is that your PSP? He goes, yeah. So I'm going to need that too. walked over, picked that up, and you could tell things weren't going as he wanted it to. So the two Leesburg detectives stepped out of the apartment. They were going down to get DCF because they were going to put him out for, during the investigation. So it was just me and him in the apartment, and he walked over and sat down on the couch, and there's pillows on the side of the couch. He looked at the pillow, and I kind of put myself, you're in an apartment, you don't have a whole lot of room. I kind of put myself against a wall in the hallway, and he's looking at the pillow. I said, no, man. I said, don't do it. Whatever you're thinking, you don't want to do this. And he slid his hand under the pillow and pulled out a 45. So I'd already drawn down on him. And of course, I yelled gun. What's rule number 1 of a gunfight? Bring a gun. Rule number 2 is bring all your friends with guns. Mm-hmm. And I knew that the Leesburg detectives were outside. So I yelled gun. And then my next thought is, great, they're going to come running in the door, and this guy's got a beat on them. And they don't even know what they're running into. So I put 2 in him and ended that. So that was my first actual officer-involved shooting.
Ended it all the way?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right there. Right there. So, and it came out when FDLE did his phone, the detective called me and said it was the worst that she had ever seen. So, I mean, dude was not a good guy.
Now tell us how that post-incident and how that, briefly, every place is different when it comes to a OIS. So, what happened post that incident?
For those who've been through an OIS, man, that's a stressful thing. It really is. And the first thing I did is, I called my lieutenant at the time, and I'm like, hey, man, I said, you got to come to Leesburg. I just shot this guy. It's like, I told you not to shoot him. I'm like, because it's a joking around with your boss. Hey, I'm going to go to Leesburg, do an interview. Don't shoot anybody. Yeah. I said, yeah, well, I did. And I'm going to need you and everybody else here. And the next call is to my wife, hey, go home, let the dogs out. I'm not going to make it home. She's like, I got a hair appointment. Well, yeah, you're going to have to cancel that.
Cancel that one.
Yeah. She's like, well, and gotta love a cop's wife. First question, good shoot?
Yeah.
I'm like, absolutely. Yeah. She goes, all right, when you coming home? I said, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how this is going to go. I could be 2 hours. I could be 8, and I'm sure somebody from the department will come by. Yeah. I guess I was a little overly sure on that because nobody contacted my wife, came by my house. We just moved into a new house. She went and knocked on the neighbor's door and said, hey, can I put my truck in your driveway? Because I don't know if the news is going to be coming by and, looking. And I mean, she's here not knowing what's going on, thinking I'm going to come home. They took all my clothes and all that. Yeah. So she has no idea. So I'm there, handling that. I get, of course, interviewed by FDLE on scene. Lake County Sheriff's Office helped process everything. So, the photographs and the evidence and all that. I mean, it's a long night at that point. By the time I get home, my wife's sitting here. I said, well, who reached out? Nobody. Next day, nobody. I'm sitting here watching the news, and you got to love the news. We don't have any more information on the incident, but wait till 6 o'clock when we find out about the officer. Yeah. We'll tell you what we found out about him. And I'm sitting there going, well, what'd they find out about me? 6 o'clock comes on. They go, we didn't find out anything. Well, thanks, man. What are you doing?
Yeah.
But yeah, no one from the department came by. No one checked on me. Nothing. I was pretty much on my own until I got notified, hey, you got to go to Sanford and talk to this psychiatrist and get released. Okay.
How long is that after the shooting?
I went and talked to them. It was probably a week after the shooting.
You're just sitting home?
Yeah, I'm just at home.
Normal admin leave. They gave you another firearm. They gave you your gear, right? You didn't lose all.
Yeah. So
you got another firearm and all that stuff. You went home.
You were SWAT.
Yeah.
How many guns did you have?
Yeah, but I'm saying, did they I'm saying, did they give you another agent, or you had enough guns at the house?
I had another agency gun with me.
Okay. Didn't come take it though, or anything?
Okay. No. And it was funny. I wouldn't give it up on scene. A deputy came over to me. He's like, hey, let me get your firearm. I'm like, you're not FDLE. No. Nobody gets my firearm until the investigator from FDLE comes here.
Smart move.
Yeah, I mean, and then, first thing the officers do when they come in on, and you've seen it on suicides as well, I'm sure, when the gun's laying there, what do? They run in, pick up the gun, and clear it. Nuts. So in the FDLE report, his gun is sitting on the edge of the couch, empty. No magazine in it, with a magazine beside it. Because somebody cleared it as soon as they got it, because this dead guy is going to do something with a gun.
I've seen it where I walked into a murder-suicide and the gun was cleared and in a drawer. And I'm like, why would you put the gun away in a drawer?
Yeah, guns are
nobody's going to wake up. Yeah, it was like a 2-day-old scene.
Already gone.
Yeah,
what's the point?
Mine was like a 2-day-old scene too. It's like they were dead. I'm like, okay. But Yes, and that's small town agency, right? Small agencies
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
area.
yeah.
Probably never, you get to a massive agency. I'm sure it's like pretty common. Just leave it where it is. Let them take pay. But yeah, small
I was the
agency.
first officer involved shooting in, God, years.
Yeah.
I knew we'd had one earlier. It'd been a couple of years, but we just didn't have them. I mean, just very, very rarely. So yeah, like you said, we're going with the agencies that, like Lake County Sheriff's Office, who do this a little bit more. FDLE, of course, who investigates them. So you lean on them for, where do we go from here?
Mhm.
And the most surprising thing in an officer involved shooting is you never get told you did right.
Yeah, that's tough, right?
Yeah, what you get is a letter from the state attorney's office says we're not going to prosecute you.
Yeah, you're not indicted.
You're not indicted. You've committed. You're suspect in a crime, but guess what?
You don't go to any of that, right? You just wait for it's going on.
Wait.
You just know the grand jury's going on.
FDLE does a debrief with your command staff. You don't get to go to. Command staff meets with the state attorney's office. You're not a part of that. You're just kind of sitting back. Now I'm back to work in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but you got this looming over your head for 9 months.
You got to kind of figure though, if they let you come back to work. I know I've never been in that situation. I've never shot anybody. So I speak kind of ignorantly out of turn, but I would assume
you've been around it.
In your head though, you got to think, I'm back at work. I'm doing my job. No, I'm not talking about the mental health side of it. I'm talking.
I knew it was a good shoot.
Yes. But I mean, they're always Sal Aldrade, a good friend of mine, also did a good shoot, and he's been indicted. So
exactly,
there's always in the back of your head like that lives with you every single day until you hear the news.
I had a good friend of mine work for Lake County Sheriff's Office who was in a shoot, released by the state attorney's office, and then was federally indicted.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a realistic fear that you live with.
Yeah. You could be cleared by the state. Yeah, you don't even know. I never thought of that.
Not all cops are good at their job.
Yeah.
And so you got to be, I mean, it puts you on edge. It's something you worry about. But I went one time, had my evaluation, met a real nice psychiatrist, spent a couple hours with her. She reported back to the police department that I wasn't bent and twisted. I got released for duty, and that was it. Hey.
And this is 1 year later. This is 2014 now.
This is 2014, January 7th, same day.
Way before any movement of mental health in law enforcement. This is
you're
still in the middle of the suck it up, drive on part of law enforcement, where you can't go, hey, I'm not having a good day, or I'm not having, I'm having a rough time. Nobody cared in 2014.
No, but at this point, I'm an instructor. I'm an instructor for the agency. I'm teaching out at the academy. I'm starting to go through all the leadership classes that succession planning puts you through. So I can see, man, this was done wrong.
Yeah.
So I approached the chief and said, great chief at the time. And I said, look, man, we failed as a department. We completely failed. We left my wife alone the entire time. No family support whatsoever. We don't have children, so she's here by herself. We did nothing for my mental health other than get me checked to make sure I can come back. We can't do this. This isn't how we should do business. So I set up an in-service training, and my wife and I and my attorney actually came and taught a 2-hour in-service. I debriefed the whole incident and what to expect. It's little things you don't think about. Like my attorney calls me up and says, hey, you got to shut down your Facebook. I'm like, okay. So yeah, department won't give up a picture to the news. So they've trolled your Facebook, and they're going to use a picture of you and your wife at Gaylord Palms at the ice event in the big jacket hoodie things. I'm like, you're kidding me. So I got to call the lieutenant over Office of Professional Standards at the time and say, hey, can you shoot somebody a picture, and shut down? It's things like that you just don't think about, So handled that, get through it, moving on. Reached out to EAP at that point in about 2016 because
you made it through January 7th, 2015.
Yeah. Once I made it through a couple more January 7th, I was like, okay, need to start.
That's ironic. It's my sister's birthday. It's funny, but yeah. So you make it through, and so you're 2 years removed from the second incident, and you reach out to EAP on your own.
Yeah, because I'm definitely having some issues, and I know I'm having some issues, and my wife is my third wife. This is California rules. This is third strike. It's life. I'm not doing this again. Yeah, so you get it. I'm not doing this again. If I'm suffering, I got to fix this. I got to take care of this. So I reached out to EAP. I found a local therapist, started doing that, and it was helping. Definitely helping. Got a new chief came in, and he was a very ineffective leader. He was not a guy to make a decision. When he came in, I got promoted to lieutenant when the old chief left. So he came in, I was a member of command staff at that point. He sat down and said, look, I've had a talk with the city manager. City manager said, this is my department to run, so I'm going to do it. I wish he would have stuck to that, because he just couldn't make a decision. I mean, everything you go to, yeah, I got to chew on it. I got to chew on it. Just wasn't a strong leader at all. And then at that point, my wife and I are starting to become vocal about what's going on in the community and the things they're doing. They're looking to put in this sailing club at a cost of $16 million that's going to take away the community center and things like that. And we were getting, vocal about our community. This isn't what we wanted in it. And the members of commission, certain members of commission, didn't like it. So I started, I would say, hostile working environment. The complaints started coming.
And I'm gonna stop you right there for a second. This is the transit. This is what I tell most guys. Like, you have to choose between what's right and just letting the dumb stuff continue. And
right.
I'm assuming this is where I'm gonna listen, but I know there's a transition point, and 99% of cops don't go where you're getting ready to go. They just go, I need a paycheck. I got to pay I got to pay my bills. So you're exercising your First Amendment rights as a citizen of that city, county, and you're just simply saying, I don't agree with some of the things. So I know where this is going, but I'm gonna go ahead and tell me, get me there. So you start to talk out about
stupid things. Like they have a concert in the park downtown, right? I go. I'm not in uniform. It's a weekend, but at this point, I'm a lieutenant. I'm command staff. I'm down there. They got a guy drunk, passed out in a chair. Somebody says, hey, man, that guy's drunk. So I grab an officer. He's a new officer. Hey, let's go over and make contact with this guy. Ends up being a drunk and gets put in handcuffs and gets arrested. A sergeant goes and complains to the chief that I'm abuse of authority. I'm not on duty. Why am I down there doing that stuff? And it turns into, I get it, that complaint. They're investigating this. And it's like, I'm doing my job. When am I off duty? The only time I'm off duty is when I'm out of town and I can't respond. I'm in my city in an event, just ridiculous complaints. Mm-hmm. So then I got a guy who worked for us that came up from South Florida. He did 20 years down there, thought he'd come up to Eustis and retire on duty for a while, and didn't realize that we actually were a working agency. So he went into criminal investigations, figures years of experience. That'd be a good place for him. They put him in PIO. And at that point, PIO was under me, and he was just terrible at PIO. I mean, his press releases had wrong dates, wrong information, and I was constantly on this guy. I'm like, look, man, you're going to go back to the road. If you can't do this job, you can't do it right, then you got to go back to the road. Yeah. Well, he didn't want to go back to the road. So he went in and told the chief that I was he filed an ageism complaint. And dude's 6 years older than I am. I supervised him in criminal investigations, where we seem to get along fine. But now that he's threatened with going back to the road, I'm targeting him. And in the investigation, it was comical. The chief said, well, he came in and said, look, I don't want to complain, but I just don't want to be under Winheim anymore. But it turned into a complaint that turned into the longest IA in department history. So they do this IA, and it starts out that, to read it, you would laugh. The first line is, there were 9 witnesses presented. Of those 9, only 5 had information that was relevant to this case. Okay, what about the other 4? They're not even named.
What'd they say? Yeah.
They're not even named. No, you can't do this. So they do this IA. They keep me under it for almost 5 months. Chief finally comes in and says, look, you're going to get a letter. It's the only discipline you're going to get. I'm like, okay. He says, but I want you to know I still love you. I'm like, wait a minute. It's an ageism IA, and you just walked in and handed me the results and told me you love me. That's not how any of this works.
No. Sound right.
So, and of course I couldn't appeal it any further because there was no discipline other than the letter. It's the only IA in my file, other than traffic crashes and you spend enough time in a patrol car.
I've read 10 times. Yeah.
Only IA in my file was for that. So, I mean, I knew at that point, I'm under a lot of stress. They're targeting me. They're coming after me every time I turn around. So that chief ends up getting, I'm trying to put all this together in the timeline, man. So 2019, same chief. I'm minding my own business, sitting in an intersection in my patrol truck, talking to my wife, going over to Walgreens to get some Christmas lights for the Christmas tree in the department. And I hear gunshots. and they were coming from a grocery store plaza over to the side. My wife says, "Hey, were those gunshots?" I'm like, "Yeah." Let me call you back and see what's going on. And I had an unmarked truck, and it was the first one in the county actually that was that flat primer gray, the Ford. So everyone knew my truck. And I see this car come flying out of the parking lot, an SUV. Driver's in a hoodie, don't see him, but he's flying out. Well, you hear gunshots, a vehicle flying out of he might be involved. So I'm calling it in, and we're on a 2-lane road, kind of nothing else out there. I'm running up to him, and he whips off the side of the road. So I pull off and I stay back probably about 15, 20 yards because I don't know what's going on. I'm calling it out, hey, pulling over, send me some units. Well, he jumps out and dumps 8 rounds on the front of my truck. He had done a robbery. We find out he robbed the convenience store 3 days earlier, and he'd gone back to the store for whatever reason, picked up a bag that was behind the store, and the business right behind stopped him, said, "Hey man, what are you doing?" He pulled the gun out on the business owner and said, "You want to die today?" and started popping rounds at him. And that was the shots that I heard. And he knew me. He local kid, so he knew who I was when I got behind him. So instead of dealing with me or whatever, he just thought he'd jump out and empty the rest of his magazine on the front of my truck. So being an F-150, I had the center console. I tried to lean over, couldn't because of that center console, so I couldn't get down low enough. I watched the first round come through the top of the windshield. Second round that came through the windshield hit me in the neck, traveled through my neck and stopped at the spine. So I know I'm in a bad spot. You've been hit once, you got to move. So I fly out of the truck. I'm going to engage him. He just went to lock back, jumped in his SUV and took off. So I'm like, okay, I know I'm bleeding. I'm not going to chase him. I got to figure out what's going on. A citizen had pulled in behind me, and super nice lady stopped. I rolled, walked back to her. She rolls her window down. She's like, "I'm on the phone with 911. I said, "Man, Mom, I got everybody coming. Don't worry about that. I just need to know, how bad am I leaking? Do I need to stick my finger in somewhere?" And I missed everything. Went through my neck, missed everything. I got life flighted to Orlando, and trauma center does their thing, did the x-rays and all that. And the trauma doc came out and he said, I don't know why you're here. He said, you're a millimeter away. I said, yeah. So and this is the trauma doctor who was on duty when Pulse happened. I mean, he's hell of a guy. Yeah. And he's like, "Dude, I don't know why you're here. So we're going to take the bullet out and you're going to go home." I was like, "All right, cool." So my chief showed up at the hospital because he was brought there by another chief. The other chief who was on scene was like, "Hey, we're going to the hospital, right?" And he goes, "Oh, no, I'm going to go to the command post." He goes, "No, you got to go down and check on your guy. Get in the car. You got to go." He's like, "Oh, okay." Nobody else from the city came down. Now I got, Sheriff Mina walked in, OPD chief was there, cops that I'd worked with that had gone, the other agencies. I had a friend of mine that came from Gainesville that worked for FWC that met me at the hospital. I mean, people piled in like crazy, but nobody from the only command staff member that was there was the lieutenant or the captain who picked up my wife and drove her down there at the speed limit, by the way.
Well, at least I got your wife this time.
Yeah, I was one of my things.
We fixed that problem.
Yeah, you got to go pick up my wife. At least we got that part taken care of.
Yeah.
So the rest of the commission and the city manager opened a dog park that afternoon. So they were up doing the ribbon cutting ceremony while I was getting the bullet taken out of my neck. And get out of the hospital the next day, stopped at the police department because they were having, this was December 19th, and they were having that I was shot. So the next day is the 20th. They were having their department Christmas dinner. So I stopped. I stopped at the Christmas dinner with the bandage on my neck on the way back from the hospital, and went home. A friend of mine that was the former Mount Dora chief of police came and brought dinner for my wife and I that night. And that was the only person who came to my house. The only person that reached out, brought food, anything. I was pretty much left alone again to figure it out.
What's going on in Eustis, man?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
You guys are shooting, and you would think they'd have it all figured out by the third one.
Oh, so I skipped one.
Oh, that's your fourth one?
Yeah. So this is the problem when you start talking about my career. There's a timeline. So 2018. Kid walks into AutoZone. This is June of 2018, and says, "Call the police, tell them there's a man in here with a gun." So they do. We surround the auto zone. I went to the back door, got all the employees out. Yeah, he just walked in, said he had a gun. We don't know what's going on. We got the place surrounded. Got officers in the front. Myself and the SWAT commander, he had taken up position on the side of the building. I came around just as the kid walked out and looked at everybody out there, did the cross symbol, and pulled a pistol out from behind his back and pointed it at one of the officers in the parking lot. So they, two officers shot the SWAT commander, another officer in the parking lot shot him, put him down. But he was a big kid, and he was like 350 pounds. And when they shot and knocked him down, he leaned back up and grabbed the pistol. So I put 2 rounds in him, and the SWAT commander put 2 more rounds. So run over, once, as well as I do, once you're involved in a shooting, next thing you got to do is render aid. So I went over, immediately attempted to render aid to him, got his wallet, figured out where he lived. He lived 2 blocks away. I sent officers. I handed the wallet to an officer behind me, said, you got to get over to that house right now. Make sure that he didn't do anything over there before he came and did this. My chief, same chief, he's on the phone. I'm like, hey, what are you doing? He goes, I'm calling FDLE so that they can process this scene. I'm like, yeah, FDLE is not going to process the scene. That's not how that works. You need to call Lake County Sheriff's Office. He's like, well, I'm on hold with FDLE. I'm like, well, you are apparently useless. So I ran the whole scene after being involved. The sergeant who had fired his 40 was sitting in the assistant fire chief's truck, just kind of chilling out until everything. I go and get his phone. Hey, call your wife. Let her know you're fine. The SWAT commander, who's a captain also, is sitting in his truck. Everybody's running around with, chickens with their head cut off. The chief's standing on the phone on hold. Nobody's doing anything. So I'm running the scene. That's the way it should be, right?
No, it should not be.
And by the way, I had just left the department when the call came out. I was on the way to a therapy session because I was seeing my therapist like once a week at this point, through EAP. So yeah, that was a complete cluster. The chief of Mount Dora at the time walked over to me and said, hey, you're involved in this. I said, yeah. He goes, give me your gun. I said, no. I said, I'll give my gun to FDLE when they get here. He goes, no, you're done. You're out. Go sit in your truck. I said, look, man, nobody's running the scene. With all due respect, you can go back to your city. I'm in the middle of trying to do this. Yeah, it's
wild, man. That's wild. That's just some wild stuff. I had no idea all that's going on up there.
So that's 18. 19, I get shot, right? Okay.
And you're still going to therapy from the first one?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I've been seeing my therapist since 2017 at this point.
I don't know if you're going to cover this, but did it change did your therapy change once you were actually shot? Was there any difference in how you felt, or was it just one continuous feeling, or did anything change, like coming that close to being killed? Did anything change in your head?
The hypervigilance is insane. Yeah. I mean, to leave the house and go to the grocery store with my wife is, you got to have the gun. You got to have your concealed with you. You're watching it's exhausting. You go out of the house for an hour and a half, you get back and it's just like, I got to crash, man, because it's the hypervigilance is nuts. The anxiety, lack of sleep. I'm not sleeping well at this point because constantly having dreams and that sort of stuff. I was starting, after a while, I ended up having problems with my neck because it severed all the nerves in my neck and did some damage to my hearing, of course. So I started having some problems with that as well. But I'm still working. I mean, I'm still going to work. So after 2018, after that shooting, that ineffective chief at the time sends the 3 of us who actually fired, who were involved in the shoot, for a fitness for duty evaluation. And I was like, no. The other captain, the SWAT commander at the time, was actively applying for police chief jobs. He was looking to go be a chief somewhere. And I'm like, you can't send this guy for a fitness for duty evaluation because what's that going to do on his applications? As well as I do that a return to duty evaluation is 100% different than a fitness for duty.
Yeah, just evaluate and return, not are you fit? Yes, I agree.
A fit for duty is, hey, you've displayed some things that we have issues with, and we need to get you checked out. So they're sending us down, and it was it was down in Winter Garden or Winter Park or somewhere, and they send all 3 of us down there. And I walked into the guy's office, and I'm like, look, I'm not doing a fit for duty evaluation. He goes, well, that's what our paperwork is. I said, that's not what any of us are doing. I'm on the phone with my attorney. I'm on the phone with the chief of police. I'm like, you can't do this. You can't do this to us. You can't, to our careers. had all of the paperwork changed that morning before any of us would sit down and interview, to where it was changed to a return to duty from a fit for duty. And so you're fighting these little things in the department as well, when you're dealing with all the emotional stuff and the baggage that comes along with the shooting, but at the same time, you're still trying to protect yourself and your career.
I'm glad you had the foresight and the balls really to like take that on too, because you're right. One little paperwork or one little signature on a paper could affect your life greatly 2 or 3 years after that. Like,
Greatly.
oh man, you want to be a chief of police, but look, you needed to be fit for duty evaluation. Like, that's good that you were on the ball enough to like really make sure that for everybody involved, not just yourself.
That SWAT commander who was involved in the shoot is now a chief in another state. The sergeant who was involved, he actually has since passed. One of the other sergeants involved, he stepped out when we were firing and caught a ricochet in his leg. So he ended up getting injured, and they wanted to send him for a fitness for duty as well. So they wanted him to get evaluated. He's now a captain with Eustis. So yeah, I mean, these things affect your career.
Yeah.
So I'm fighting that. I'm fighting this chief, and I mean, things are not going well. So now I get shot. Now I was accepted to the FBI National Academy. I was class of 280. I was shot right after the process, but I was still going. I've got a letter from them that says, "You're amazing. We can't wait for you to get up here." So I'm still on track in my career to keep advancing. I'm in therapy. It's not helping a whole lot because I'm just not getting any support at the department, because I'm being targeted in a hostile work environment. I have video because I pulled all the body cam of my shooting. I pulled everything. And the Lake County detective, the homicide detective who was working one of the scenes, the guy who shot me was he fled, was found, hid in the woods. Marion County's helicopter found him, and he didn't want to play nice when the SWAT team encountered him. He was shot and killed. So there was multiple scenes. So this detective is talking to my chief and another sergeant at the time. And he says, "Hey," he says, "we got to find this guy." This is when they're still looking for him. He says, "We got to find this guy." He says, "I like Gary." He says, I want to find this guy." And the chief goes, "Hey, we found somebody who likes Gary." I'm in a helicopter getting flown with a bullet in my neck, and my chief is joking with him that, "Hey, we found somebody who likes him."
I'd like to say I'm surprised, but
No.
I'm not.
No. So I come back to work in 2019 after being shot. Well, so I do the not fitness for duty, but the duty evaluation 2018. I come back to work. I'm shot in 2019. They send me to the same guy for the evaluation to see if I'm eligible to return for work. The same guy. So I walk in, I sit down in his office, and I'm like, "Yeah, what are the 3 things I'm going to remember this time? Last time was the guitar on your wall, the pen, and that thing on your desk. You got new things for me or what?" And he's like, "Yeah, I can see you're still the same guy. You can go back to work." So they released me, and I'm back to work in 3 weeks after taking a round to the neck. And it's just a shit show. It's not a good environment to be in.
I like to commend you, because I know guys that stub their toe and they're out for 9 years on light duty. So you're like I said at the beginning, I knew you were going to tell me a story of a guy that enjoys his job and does it for the right reasons, because most people take a round in the neck. They're not in a hurry to get back, and you're back in 3 weeks. So
you got to show these guys, man. You got to.
That's good stuff, man.
Where do you lead from? You lead from the front.
Yeah, I agree. So, I wish everybody was like that, but unfortunately, there's not a lot of you left out there.
God, it's changed, man. It's changed over the years. It's just sad, because I was brought up by the people who did this. This is what. Oh, you got cut fighting somebody? Well, get some stitches and come back to work. Just glue it.
Yeah,
this is how we did things.
Yep.
Now it's like you said, they stub a toe, and it's like, "Oh, I can't do my job. I can't do anything.
Can't be a detective. I can't sit at the desk all day. My toe,
right.
It's bad.
Right.
Yeah, it's bad."
So I come back to work after 3 weeks, and it's just it's not a good environment. I mean, I'm definitely being targeted. I know I'm being targeted. They wanted me to go out, and I wouldn't go out. I came back. Best thing I could have done probably at that time would have been to retire. To take a medical retirement, but I don't want to do that. I started in 96. This is 19 that I got shot. I've been a cop for a long time. I want to get to my retirement. Yeah. Not looking to medical out.
25 years there?
I was 26 and a half.
I'm saying, but the minimum was 25?
Yeah, 25 now. So we're a private retirement. We're not FSA. So I could I could retire at 52 with 25 years, but I wasn't 52 yet. So I would have had to have taken either an early retirement, which takes a hit on my retirement, or taken the medical retirement, which, like, is 66%. So it's actually a lower number than what I already had in year wise. So I didn't want to do that. I want to go back to work. I go back to the National Academy. My goal was to be a chief. That's what I wanted to do. I want to be the chief of police at Eustis. It's what I'd always wanted. So COVID hits, National Academy gets canceled. Every world changes.
Yeah.
The world just changed in COVID. And then the chief that we had, he goes to the chief's conference. He gets called back from the chief's conference and gets handed his resignation letter, and he's resigned. I get a call from a commissioner at the time, not knowing that this particular commissioner is one of the ones who was actively trying to push me out because of how I felt about how they were doing things in the city. And my wife, after I got shot in 2019, she says, "Do I get my First Amendment back?" I said, "Do what you want. Say what you want. What are they going to do to me?"
It's nice to get it back. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah, it is nice to get it
Yes,
back.
it is.
Yeah, I'll tell you that story too, when I got mine back. So she calls me and says, "Hey, the commissioner, hey, can we meet?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I go in, I meet with her in the morning. She wants to talk about, homeless and all the other stuff commissioners want to talk about. And another commissioner came in while I was there and said, "Hey, we're going to lunch. Do you want to go?" And I'm like, "No, I don't go to lunch with two commissioners. There's a thing called sunshine law, but you guys do what you want. You guys go out to eat after every commission meeting together anyway. So no, I'm not interested." And the other commissioner says, "Well, you should go to the department. You should hang out there this afternoon." I'm like, "Okay, it'll work for you, but I appreciate you telling me what to do." So I went back to the department, immediately left, and went down to one of the North End barns to do something, because whatever they're saying is going on, I clearly don't want to be a part of it. I get a call from the other captain, the senior captain at the time, and says, "Hey, where you at?" I said, "North End barn." He's like, "Meet me at the station." Well, it's his day off. I'm like, "What's going on?" He goes, "Meet me at the station." So I come in the station. He's like, "Oh, chief got resigned. I'm the interim chief." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." He says, we sit down to talk, and he goes, "Listen, so at the time I was homebrewing. I got into homebrewing beer big time, and I was looking at starting a brewery. That's what my end game was going to be. Every cop's got to have a plan. You don't go home and retire and die. You do something."
Yes.
So my end game was to do a brewery. So I had been talking to a captain down in Orlando with ABT on making sure that what I was doing was legal. There was a local brewery in town that I'd been doing some stuff with, but wasn't employed, just learning. So I was making sure that everything I was doing was on board. So the day the chief gets resigned, the interim chief captain, my FTO, by the way, worked with this guy my entire career, says, "Hey, there's some concerns about what you're doing with this brewery, and you need to get a letter from ABT that says you're not breaking the law." I said, "That's not how police agencies work. You don't call them up and say, 'Hey, can I get a letter that says what I'm doing is legal?' What you do is you call up and you say, 'You need to investigate this person,' and they do an investigation." I said, "So you're wanting me to call them and open an investigation on myself, and that's not going to happen." He says, "Well, the city manager wants you to do it." And I said, "Well, tell the city manager if he wants to keep coming after me, he can, but he's going to regret it." So interim chief's like, "Oh, okay." Comes in my office about an hour later and says, "We got a meeting with the city manager at 9:00 tomorrow morning." I'm like, "Perfect." So sit down in the city manager's office. He comes in. He says, "Hey, you think I got it out for you?" Dude, what am I supposed to think? This guy's interim chief for 30 minutes. The first thing he says is he wants me to open an investigation on myself.
Yeah.
You guys have been coming after me for the last couple of years. Get over it. I'm not doing anything unlawful, immoral, or unethical. I'm doing my job every day. I'm out here leading the troops. Leave me alone. Let me do my job. So they backed off on that, kind of left me alone for a little bit, bring in this new chief. And it's Chief Craig Capri. He was the chief of Daytona Beach. He was under Chitwood as the deputy chief.
Mm-hmm.
And when Chitwood became the sheriff, they made him the chief. And then he was already in the drop. He timed out. So he needed a job. So he came to Eustis. And this guy came in, 32 years Daytona Beach, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to meet everybody. I'm going to sit down. Well, he was told by the city manager that I was a problem. My wife hated the city, and he was to get rid of me. And I have that on video where later on in a discussion, I told him, dude, you were told to get rid of me. And he said, yes, I was. He admitted to it. So he takes another
corruption.
100%.
Like
He takes another
he's got an ethical duty to like supposed to stop that like right when the guy says it, but
learn your people.
Yeah.
You mean you're coming in someplace? I mean, and your boss says, hey, this guy's a problem. Okay, well, give me a minute.
Yeah.
Let me find out what the actual problem is. Now, this guy needs a job, so he did exactly what he told. He's a puppet.
How does a guy with that many years not? How can he not retire? Like, what that to me? Just a sidetrack for a minute. When I see that happen, I think this guy's got all the initials after his name. He's got all these fancy awards. He was the
FBI National Academy.
32 years, and he can't go home. Like he doesn't have his finances in order to the point where it's like, hey man, I did 23. Like,
didn't we talk about this? Didn't we talk about this?
Yeah, it's like
what happens? What happens when you lose your wife and kids?
Yeah. Oh yes.
Where's your retirement go?
Okay. So these are okay. I forgot.
He got divorced.
Yeah, that's right. He did. So now he's forced to work the rest of his life because he mismanaged his wife and his life, and now he's
absolutely
money. Okay. All right. I forgot about that part. Yep.
Yeah. So he comes in needing a job. So he's going to do what he's told to do.
Desperate.
Yeah. So we've got at the time we promoted another captain, and then we had a captain. So there's still the 3 captains, and he's taking this other captain around town. You know, hey, this is going to be my number 2. This is going to be my number 2. I've been in this county 25 years. You know, people are calling me. Hey, he's going around telling everybody that this is his number 2. I'm like, yeah, he's talked to everybody in the department. He hasn't talked to me. He stays out of my office. He avoids me. I mean, he wants nothing to do with me because he was told to get rid of me. So, oh, and by the way, that captain who was going to be the number 2 retired very quietly after going through the department email system and trying to find dirt on the chief and commissioners, and did some kind of shady shit. And he ended up getting his retirement quietly and going away. So and he just totally shut me out. So at this point, I'm not healthy. I am,
we're skipping over that part that you still haven't, you've been shot and you've been through all these incidents. And it's like that. It's funny because that even in the conversation, your mental health has taken a back seat to all this other stuff that's going on. But what does every law enforcement agency preach? Take care of your guys.
We're all about taking care of our people.
But you got all this going on, and the beginning of the conversation started with your initial incident caused you mental health issues, and we still haven't. There's really nobody helping you out. Nobody's helping you with that.
I've been seeing the same licensed mental health counselor, not a psychiatrist. He's a licensed mental health counselor, and I'm not saying anything bad about this guy. He's helped me considerably, but I'm seeing the same guy through my EAP. So I'm paying. I'm paying my co-pays. I'm making the appointment. I'm doing everything myself. And then I'm also trying my best to live my life. So I'm obviously drinking too much. I mean, I'm drinking myself to sleep at this point. I'm arguing with my wife. I'm in a bad place, and I know it. And as a cop, the worst thing you can do is reflect on yourself and go, man, I shouldn't be doing this right now.
Yeah.
I'm a liability.
Yep.
And it's a really hard point to come to that, at this point, if I get in another officer involved shooting, that's number 3. And it only takes 3 to be a serial killer. I mean, you don't think people are going to start,
especially in a 40,000 person town, 50.
Yes.
I mean, guys in major cities aren't getting that many. So
No.
I mean, it's fun. I laugh about it. It's not funny, but you're right. Like at some point, it's like, bro, we got like the assassin over here. He's
is it this guy? What's the issue?
Yeah,
I mean,
they're
going to start taking
you get 4 crashes, you're a problem. You tase somebody 4 times in a year, you're a problem. And you shoot 3
a couple
or 4 people, and I can see and that could play on your mind. Like the next time you're in a critical incident, like what do I do here?
100%. I'm still SWAT. I'm now the SWAT commander. I'm planning entries. I'm still doing all the dangerous shit that puts you in this situation, knowing that if I get in another one, man, this is not going to be fun. The media is going to crucify me. You know that. He's already got 2. Yeah, he was cleared from those 2, but now he's got a 3rd. What's wrong with this guy? He's unhinged. So I know I need time. And I'm talking to my counselor, and he's like, man, you need to take some time. You just take a break. So I filed a letter with the chief, came in and handed him a letter and said, look, man, I got to take some time off. I'm taking FMLA. He goes, I'd have never guessed this from you, man. You're so put together. You just did a SWAT entry like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, well, of course you wouldn't guess it. I'm a cop. I do my job. I come in every day and I do it. You don't know what's going on the inside, and I'm telling you what's going on the inside. It's not good. I got to go get better. I'm not good for the department, the city, my family, anyone right now. Oh yeah, we back you 100%. We're gonna get you healthy. You know, all the things that they say.
The buzzwords.
Yeah. So the first thing I do, I get sent down to HR. Got to fill out the paperwork because they want to put it as a workers' comp. All right, fine. Well, they tried filing and I told them, I said, you got to put this back to the shooting because this has been ongoing since 2019. So the first thing they do is try to file a new workers' comp claim. That gets denied. I'm like, you got to put it back to the shooting. So they put it back to the shooting. I go on workers' comp, get a workers' comp psychiatrist. Of course, can't see anybody in person. So workers' comp psychiatrist, we do this virtual thing. He does his assessment of me and sends it to the department. And of course, I'm assessed with PTSD. Big surprise. And he says, yeah, this guy doesn't need to be a cop right now. He needs to take some time to get healthy. So that's when I get the letter from Chief Capri. I think I sent that to you.
That's the first. Okay. Do you want to bring that up?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the letter from the chief, and you kind
So he basically says, hey, go get better. Oh, and by the way, don't do anything as a cop. You can't act in any capacity as a law enforcement officer. We're going to take your badge, your guns, your department issued equipment,
taking money too,
and 5% of your pay because you're not on call anymore.
You were on FMLA at this point.
Yes.
Yeah, which is illegal. You can't.
Yes.
I've studied this very extensively. You cannot be transferred, demoted, moved, or change any pay by federal law when you're out on FMLA.
Workers' comp. Or workers' comp.
Yeah. So you're here on both because you started on FMLA.
Correct.
So you're on FMLA or workers.
Well, I went initially to take FMLA, and the city's like, "No, you got to do this under workers."
Okay. So either way, you're out for a reason, and they're reducing your pay, and
yes,
essentially, they can't do that.
So throughout, you've seen how my career goes. I'm not the guy who calls in sick. At this point, I've got between sick and vacation time 2,000 hours. I mean, I could go out for a year if I needed to. So they tell me we're going to dock your pay. I tell the chief, you can't do that. That's 100% illegal. He says, yeah, but you get 5% for being on call. I said, no, I don't. I'm a captain. None of us get that. You don't get 5% for being on call. That was done away with years ago. It's incorporated into our pay. You can't take pay. Well, I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to see what I can do. I'm going to fight for you, blah, blah, blah. Calls me up, says, hey, I got to get your guns. I got to get your truck. And I got to get your badge and your ID.
That's normal. I mean,
guns
obviously that, but yeah.
Guns and truck are normal.
Yes.
Badge and the ID.
No, that's not normal. No. Ours is your radio or your radio, your car, and that's it. I don't even think they take our guns. I was on FMLA and I went in workers' comp for a certain time, and they didn't take my gun. They took my car and my radio.
We had a guy that was out on a leg injury for a year and a half and had a patrol car sitting in his driveway.
Well, yes, and I don't want to talk too much about myself, but the first time I went out, I was still in good graces, and my car sat out front for 3.5 months.
Yes.
Second time I went out, they were in the process of screwing me, and they came on the 10th day on the dot and got my stuff. So yes, it all depends on how you are, what graces you're in with the agency at that point.
Right. So he says, look, I'm going to bring Sergeant so-and-so. He's a buddy of yours. I'm like, yeah, no, he's not. You'd know that if you knew anybody in this department. You didn't take time to learn. But dude, bring whoever you got to bring. Come get it. I understand. It's equipment. So I put the guns in the safe in the back of the truck because, cops get nervous. So secure everything up. He comes and he's like, hey, get in your vehicle, your guns. I need your badge and your ID. I said, no. I said, that's not cool. I said, you can't take my badge. I'm not under discipline. You're treating me like I'm under discipline.
Yeah, you're not.
No. It's policy. It's policy. At this point, I'm the captain over the Office of Professional Standards. I'm writing policy. I'm over policy. I'm like, don't tell me what policy is when you've been here, a hot minute, and I've been doing it for a while. I said, this is targeting. This is wrong, whatever. And I'll tell you, dude, you want to talk about breaking down? That was the night I broke down. Take your badge and your gun.
Yeah.
That's your identity as a cop.
Yeah.
Here I am. I've been through all these incidents and I've struggled and I'm still a cop. And then all of a sudden I'm not.
Because you've been diagnosed with PTSD from critical incidents throughout your career.
Correct.
And they're coming to take your identity away from you.
Yep.
And that's the last thing on God's earth. Not even police, whatever, any human being to another human being, that should be plan ZZ on the list of things that maybe, even if it was policy, you got a guy going out that's been involved in 3 or 4 major incidents, been shot. What is even the point of addressing that part of it? You're on workers' comp for PTSD. Like, I don't even understand. That's to me.
How's it supportive in any way?
Yeah, that is to me. It just
how is that fit in the narrative that these departments say? Oh, we take care of our people.
No. They know that's a problem. And you know what? If it's a guy that doesn't give a shit, like even though it's not right, let's say the guy, hey man, we need you. No, I don't want to give you a badge. You're good. But the guy's like, yeah, I don't care, man. Here's it all. Like, but it shouldn't happen anyway. There's no reason to do it. But to me, that shows that the last thing on their mind was anything to do with your mental health or anything about you. It was about showing their nuts and being like, we can do whatever we want. We'll take your stuff. And that's just.
And I told him flat out, I said, look, dude, I said, you gave me a letter that says I can't do anything in the capacity of a police officer. So I go out and I act like a cop, fire me. It's what you guys want anyways.
Yeah.
You fire me. Don't take my badge and gun. Don't do that. Or don't take my badge and ID. Don't do this. Got to do it. Got to do it. So watched all my shit, drive down my street. And yeah, so I got friends calling me at this point. You know, I know a lot of people. I got a lot of friends. And they're calling me, hey, what's going on with you? You good? And I'm like, yeah, I'm taking some time, but they came and took my shit. And people are pissed. People are like, oh, no, it's not how you treat people. So the mayor gets a couple of phone calls. Some commissioners get phone calls. The chief calls me up the next day and he's like, listen, man, you got to call off your dogs. So what are you talking about? The mayor's getting some flack about how we're treating you. You know, we're doing everything. Oh, by the way, we're not taking your 5%. That was never going to happen. I said, what do you mean never going to happen? I have a letter that says it was going to happen. No, that was never going to happen. But we're not taking your money. Everything we did is by policy. You know, tell your friends to back off. I said,
now your friends lost their First Amendment.
Yeah. I said, you're not understanding how any of this works.
No.
But okay. Yeah. So we spent a couple months out. They sent me to Dr. Horn in Winter Park. Great dude, Yale graduate, neuropsychological testing. I do all the neuropsychological testing they want me to do, and I'm diagnosed with severe PTSD and major depressive disorder. Can't be a cop right now. Definitely need to go get healed, which was what I told them from the beginning. Let me go get well and come back. Coming back was never an option for them. They didn't want me to go get well. They wanted me to go away. There's a difference. So when
you know what? If they would have just said that up front, like, hey man, I'm sure maybe you would have bucked it still, but if they say, hey man, you've been here 25 years, you got your retirement age, like maybe
we don't want you
here. Maybe you know you've come just like the resident, like come to end of the road. Now that could be a conversation that happens very peacefully and be like, hey, but to exacerbate your mental health issue, to pile that on top of it and just make it, I mean, all this is bad. This is not, even if you're a piece of garbage, let's say you were just a piece of shit and you still happen to be involved in those incidents, you weren't SWAT commander, you're just some lazy fuck. You still don't treat, because I watch it happen to guys, lazy fucks that worked here, and they still don't, you don't treat people like this in this brotherhood. You just don't do this.
Brotherhood.
Yeah. It's quoted.
Yeah, I appreciate the
it's in quotes, but
you know what's sad is for the first 20 something years of my career, the brotherhood was a thing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately it has changed and morphed, and it's not what it was. And I'm still getting flack from people from some of the old school of, hey, why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you bucking the system? This isn't what we do, thin blue line. Yeah, man, no. I'm not about that anymore. I'm about doing the right thing and the right thing for your people. And just because you stand up on a hill and say, oh, we take care of our people, doesn't mean shit. Actually do it.
What they're really saying that for is because that means when bad stuff happens, you're supposed to stay in that little hill and not go out and say anything about it. It's narcissism and gaslighting and all those words all combined in one big pile that you're just conditioned to be like, it's great. It's great. It's great. Oh, well, all this bad stuff. It's great. Get over here. It's great, right? Oh yeah, sorry. It's great. That's like that's what those guys did. And I always say that some of the most disgruntled dudes I saw when I walked in at 21 years old, I now realize why they were so miserable.
I get it.
I knew they were good. I realized they were good cops at one point, and
I get it
through this same thing, and that's why they were miserable when I met them.
Well, and you talk about the lazy shits too, that the department will just bend over backwards to help a guy who's not worth a shit.
He doesn't cause any problems. If he's
'Cause he doesn't
quiet and
cause
he's
any
in the little
problems.
house with everybody and he's just, yes, sir. Yep.
Yep.
It's great here. And they get taken care of. That's how they
Yep.
end up at the top.
I'll tell you the most telling thing that happened is I was out at a restaurant, my wife and I, and the city attorney came up right after all this was going on. And they didn't take my 5% pay. And he comes up to me at the table and he says, hey, shakes my hand. He says, listen, man, them trying to take 5% wasn't going to happen. He said that was completely illegal. I'm like, yeah. He goes, I advised them against it. And he goes, and what they're doing is wrong. When the attorney comes over to you and tells you what they're doing is wrong, well, yeah, appreciate it, but what are you doing about it?
I'm glad you said that, because that's the key. You'll run into those people get away. Like there's people in the agency I work that are, well, he's okay. He listened. But what are they saying? What are they saying? They're watching it go on, captains, and then they look at you and go, man, this is fucked. And then you go, yeah. And then you need to say, oh man, I got
I can't.
I got a kid going to college. I got
to pay my mortgage, man.
I've been contacted by guys that I thought would bury bodies with me, and it's, oh man, you know how it is, dog. I got, oh man. And I'm like, no, I don't know how it is.
No, I don't.
I'm not there anymore. And because I stood up and said something, I'm not there anymore. And nobody cared about my mortgage. Nobody cared about my car payment, my kid in college. Everybody rooted me on. Like,
dude, I've said some harsh shit to some of my fellow SWAT guys.
Yeah.
I stood next to you. I bled next to you, and you shut me out.
Like I said, I'm not going into to my SWAT guys, because it's horrendous that I thought that we were even more elite and more close, and it wasn't nothing. Yeah. It was nothing.
If you think, and anybody who's been on SWAT, anybody who's done the special, units will tell you, yeah, being a member of the department, you're part of the brotherhood, but being part of that specialty unit, man, is even more so.
You think? You would think
that should be the tightest knit bond of all of them, but no, it wasn't.
When you start seeing those guys sell out, man, it's right. I'm gonna tell one quick part. My best friend, Christian Matheson, when we both got transferred the same day when D-Day hit, when we supported, well, he didn't support publicly. I supported the other candidate, but he caught the same flack. He asked for one thing. This dude is the most non-needy person on God's earth, because every year what happens is new guys would make the team, and he would give the new guys his shirts, because with budget, money, here's your shirt. You made SWAT. He would give them the shirts. Yep. He got kicked off the same day I did. He was the longest tenured SWAT guy in the agency at the time, and a lieutenant when he got knocked off the team for nothing. And he asked for a couple shirts. That was August 26th of 2024. He still works there, and he don't have one single shirt given to him. So that's when I talk about, and some of the gripe is, well, we get, we're the leaders now. We gotta be careful. We're on the team. We're T-shirts, SWAT shirts. That dude asked for 2 SWAT shirts because he serves 19. I want to get it wrong, but it was a very long time, 15 years, something like that. Senior guy on the team. He asked for a couple T-shirts, and to this day, as we sit here having this conversation in October of 2025, that man has not been walked up to by any of those guys since he was kicked off, not talked to by any of those guys since he's been kicked off, and surely not given a T-shirt by anybody on the team.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
He'd have died for those guys.
Yeah, that dude he's the guy, man. He's the one guy that would, yes. So anyway, that's enough of me.
Disgusting.
So you're dealing with this.
Yeah. So where was I? I'm back to work, or no, I'm out now. And they're trying to figure out what to do with me. FMLA runs out. I get contacted by HR. Hey, FMLA is running out. We got an open captain position. We got to fill it. We got to figure out what we're doing with you. So at this point, I'm not 52. I'm still 8 months away, from being 52, and I'm not looking to retire early and take a hit on my retirement for something that happened to me there.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
So I go and I meet with HR. They're like, what do you want? So my wife and I talked about it a lot, and I was looking to go to the FBI National Academy. When it started back up post-COVID, they tried to do a virtual, and I was like, yeah, I'm not doing that. And then they did one where you went back to the NA. Well, they canceled the virtual one because nobody wanted to do it. It's not what the NA was about. And then the next one, they were going to do on-site, but you couldn't leave your dorm. You had to stay there the entire 10 weeks. And everyone was like, yeah, we're not doing that either. So Academy hadn't really fired back up yet. So I come in, I sit down with HR, and I said, look, Going to the FBI National Academy is a 3-year commitment to a law enforcement agency. So I would have been here for at least another 3 years. We can figure my 3% every year into my retirement. You want me to leave early, which is a 3% hit. You can figure my pay for 3 years. And he sat back. I'll never forget. HR sat back and he looked at me and he goes, "You want to get paid?" Yeah. I said, "Well, yeah, I want to be compensated for what happened to me.
Yeah.
This is ending my career because of what happened to me at work is ending my career and my ability to make money in this career. Therefore, I would like to be made whole." You consider that as getting paid, being made whole, then whatever.
He says you have to have that conversation is bananas.
Insane.
Yeah.
So this guy came from Ferguson. He was the county that Ferguson was in. Right after all of that shit went down, and that's when he came down here. So that tells you what I'm dealing with. So he said, "Look, go get a couple days, figure out what it is you want, send me an email." Because at this point, we're just, throwing numbers out.
You're working on a buyout or a separation agreement.
Yeah, but nothing's hard numbers at that point.
If you were a chief or somebody, they'd hand you a couple million to get rid of you. But
they would.
Guy,
Absolutely.
Negotiate.
Yep. But a guy that they don't want there anyways, they're not going to do shit for.
Yeah.
So he says, "Figure out what you want, send me an email, we'll go from there." It's perfect. So this is early December, my wife and I's anniversary. We go down to the Keys for a week. I get a call like 3 or 4 days after the meeting with HR. He says, and by the way, always calls. And then I would email back per our conversation. They don't want documentation.
You're smart though. I see where you're going with this. Very smart.
You have to document that shit because they won't.
Yes,
so he calls me back. He's like, "Hey, I've got an email. I don't know." And I said, "Seriously?" So we met 4 days ago. So I got to meet with my attorney. This isn't an overnight thing. Give me a couple days. Let me get this together and I'll take care of it. I'll get it to you. When I get back, I got a letter in my mailbox from the city, and it said, "Hey, we appreciate your years of service, but we got to fill your position." And I sent you the letter.
Just the letter. Okay. I got
Yeah.
So this is your thank you for your service letter.
Thank you for your service. And then on the next page, it says, and this says, "Oh, the $300,000 that you're asking for 3 years, you're getting shot isn't what canceled the NA. It's because of COVID. So you can't use that argument in what you want. And since we got to fill your position and you're not being reasonable, effective December 22nd, which by the way, is 3 days after the 2-year anniversary of my shooting, effective December 22nd, you're terminated."
Now that's great, isn't it? Now you're a exempt employee at this point though, because you're a captain, right?
Correct. And I'm not union.
So you're not union, so they can do whatever they want. They can
do whatever they want.
Okay. So you get a letter. And how short does this make you again of your full retirement?
I'm 8 months. This is December. I turned 52 in August. And I have 2,000 hours of sick and vacation time.
They can extend in many cases, they can give you an extension of FMLA as long as they want. So they could have said, stay home for the next 8 months and take your vacation and sick.
So they just did it with a sergeant.
I know they can do it.
Right before he was out for 6, 7, maybe 8 months due to health conditions, but he hadn't hit his 25 yet. So they kept him out until he hit 25 and then he retired.
Yeah,
so they did it. And he had no sick time.
Yeah.
And they kept him out.
They can do whatever they want.
Correct. They're going to terminate.
Yeah, they could have told you, "Hey man, we're going to work out
go home.
Just go home, stay home, and in 8 months come back and we'll give us all your stuff, and in 8 months you're retired and you're gone."
Yep. So instead I'm sitting on my back porch now with no badge, no ID, no support.
Do they have to pay you? Do they have to pay you out for your vacation and sick time when you leave?
480 hours of sick and 200 hours of vacation.
So you're going to lose.
But they weren't going to.
1,600.
Because they were going to terminate me. They weren't going to do that either.
So, but.
And I wouldn't have been eligible for retiree insurance.
Oh my goodness! Because you're getting fired.
Done, man. Yeah, I was fired. I would have had to take my early retirement.
Well, I guess we're going to find out. But okay, go ahead. So what happens?
So I get this letter, and dude, I'm. You want to talk about not being in a good place? This isn't how you support your people.
No, this is it's criminal. It's insane, man.
Listen, I don't tell a lot of people this. I'll tell you this. This is probably, and this is like the first time I've done any of these shows or public. So, and I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
They wanted me to eat my gun.
Yes, they do.
100%.
I know that. Yes.
They wanted me to eat my gun because if I off myself, the problem goes away. And all you know how many people I heard from? They just want you to go away.
Yep. At any cost, because they're going to just
cost.
cover it up anyway. This is all going to be hearsay. This is all going to be, it was because of his shooting, which goes back to my platform is they would now pimp your shooting out as the reason why you killed yourself.
Yes.
And they would say, oh, we tried, we put him in.
We did everything for this guy.
We're helping him out. It's the same thing. Like I said, when they transferred me to the jail, they knew that was like the death blow. That was like, they couldn't fire me, but that was like, you're taking a 20-year street cop and we're going to, I always say he's the Grinch with those little long fingers. And they were like, we got him now. They had no idea that I had this whole platform and was making this money. But yes, they will do anything, and they can't. There's like, you call attorney people, they're just like, well, it's sure. So I was at the police department, they can do whatever they want, and it's unreal whatever they want. And
they can. Oh, I'm not messing things up, am I? Okay.
No, you're good.
It is absolutely, they do whatever they, and if you asked them now, hey man, were you really pushing this guy to end himself? Oh my God, no, that was never our intent. We did everything to help.
Yeah.
But if you look at the actions, and I'm sorry, but you got to look at the actions. Yeah. And what they were doing was pushing me right off the edge.
Yep.
So I emailed back the HR director and I said, hey man, in receipt of your letter, thanks a lot, appreciate it. My attorney and I are still laughing. We'll be in touch. And that's all I put. And my phone rang in like 15 minutes. He says, hey, can we sit down and talk? I said, I think we should, because I don't think this is how you want to do this. So came back in. My wife and I came back in. HR director, the assistant HR director walks in with her big folder of paperwork, sits on the desk and like, you got all this evidence or whatever. And he says, what do we got to do? I said, I'm not taking an early retirement. I said, you get me to August. I have plenty of sick and vacation time. Get me to August and I'll retire. I'm done with this shit. So I had to sign a piece of paper that says, first off, I can't sue him. Was not an NDA because I told him don't even put an NDA in front of me. I'm not going to sign that because I am going to talk about what they did. I had to sign that I wouldn't sue him, that I can never, ever do anything with the city of Eustis again. I can't be employed as a subcontractor in any way, shape, or form. They want nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
And they would keep me on work comp until August when I turned 52. The next day I am retired. And
that, did they pay, you were going to get paid till then?
Yep. They were keeping me on workers comp, and they would pay me out until August when I
were
retired.
Getting full pay by workers comp or 66% at that point?
Well, because it was a link to the shooting. It was
100%. Okay. Because it was an on-duty incident, so you were still getting full pay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So we'll keep you on full pay till August. You go away.
That sounds like what they should have fucking done in the beginning. Like, why did you have to drag an attorney in and get a letter saying you're getting fired?
You brought me in and asked me what I wanted. Well, if you ask me what I want to be compensated for the years that I'm going to miss. Ask me what I want.
Yeah, you don't start low, you start high. But firing you, and obviously they knew they were wrong if they came right in and agreed to it.
Honestly, I took a bullet to the neck. $300,000. Did I start high? I mean, come on.
But they're trying to get rid of you.
Yes,
you 100%. Don't want to leave. So it's 100%. Like, why would I go away if I'm planning on going to 55 or I'm planning on going, and you're trying to get rid of me at 51? Right. Yes, I want to be compensated. I still think if you went workers' comp, I know it's tough to speculate behind hindsight, but I think you had a great case for a settlement from them for all that money. Oh,
in looking back, and unfortunately, my wife and I have had a lot of conversations because she's like, I was 100% willing to go to fight for this. We would have fought the city, wanted to take away the pay. We're all right. We could have made the mortgage for long enough for it to play out. We'd have fought this and should have fought it. Yeah, and she said, I fought her.
I think you got a huge settlement.
But I fought her in that because that's not how I wanted my career to end.
I know. That's the mental health side of it. It's like,
correct.
Do I want to be known for taking rounds and shooting people, and then I'm known for the guy that fought the city on workers' comp and had to got a settlement. Like it's an ego thing. I understand.
I'm the guy who stood up and said, "Hey, my brain is broken. Now I have to go away,
and I want money." Yeah.
So they said we'll keep you on until 52. You retire, and I said I want a standard retirement. I don't want to be treated differently in any way. I want my go away gun. The chief likes to stand up and hand awards and shit like that. I want to be everything else that a retired senior, length of time gets. I want standard retirement, and I want my badge, and I want my ID back. So they said, all right, we'll do it. Sign the paperwork. So I sent an email to the HR director and said, listen, I went in to sign the paperwork. They didn't have my badge and my ID. Well, if you come in and sign the paperwork, we'll give you your badge and ID back. I'm like, you guys are still playing games. You guys are still, we'll give you this if you do this. But I literally could not get my stuff back until I signed that paperwork that said I wouldn't sue him, I wouldn't work for him, and I would go away on August 15th. So, and I did. I went to city commission. So this is a good thing. I get a call from the chief. Hey, we're going to recognize you at council. We're going to give you a shadow box, give you your gun. Even though we had a former officer or former sergeant call up and told us that we shouldn't give you your gun because you have PTSD. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, you're not RPO'd. You're not allowed to not have a gun. So
I don't know about you. Every badge I ever wore on duty, I have.
No, I didn't give a shit.
I kept that. You know,
no. I have one. It's we did a 40th anniversary SWAT badge. I bought it.
I do have an anniversary badge, but every time I got promoted, I kept a badge. So I had every badge so to build my shadow box. So they built me a shadow box, and it's on my wall. It's behind me. It's got wrong badges. It's got badges of stuff that I never did. It's got wrong. I mean, it's just
you got one.
They tried. I mean, I'll give them that. They tried. They stood up there in front of commission, and I got to do my last call and all that. Okay, cool, great. Now go away.
Yeah.
But I won't. And it just infuriates them. I pushed for, I supported a candidate in the last commission race. Chief drove by me while I was out waving a sign and flipped me off.
I think we got some of that, right?
Yeah. So he drives by me and he flips me off. I call him.
And this is the chief. Now this is after you're gone, right?
This is after I'm gone.
Okay.
Yeah,
so you're out as a citizen, and then I'm going to play this part of the video. This is body cam.
Yep. So no. Let me.
No, this is you recording.
I recorded. So
the chief drives by and flips you off.
He points at me, laughs, and flips me off. I'm like, really? So I call him up and said, hey man, do you have something you want to say? And he loves to, if you got something to come say to me, come find me like a man and blah, blah, blah. He's a bully with a badge. And I'm like, dude, burn your city gas. Come back here and talk to me. You want to say something? I'm standing here all day. And he did. He came back like 10 minutes later, which blew my mind. Everybody I've talked to who's any command position at all is like, what is he thinking? Why would he do that?
Begging for my sheriff to come.
Yes.
I'm begging. Yes. I'd pay money to have a conversation with him.
So he comes, gets out of his car, and he's in his workout clothes or whatever. And I said, hey man, you don't have body cam, so I'm filming this. Oh, you can do whatever you want. And this is
a portion of that. All right.
Yeah, where he admitted that he was told to push me out.
Because your boss told you to get rid of me, which is right, correct?
Well, let me finish. If we're going to go in chronological
order.
You
told me that.
Yeah, he did tell me that.
Yeah.
I said, wait a second. I said,
that was it.
Let me figure out who I got here. I'm not going to predetermine who people are.
But you didn't do that.
Yes, I did.
You spoke to everybody in the department when you came here. As the chief, I'm going to meet with everybody.
I
did
spoke
you not?
to you too.
No, you didn't. I came to you after you were done with everybody, and I said, I
well,
think maybe we should sit down.
I did the captain's last, so maybe
You didn't do me at all. I came to you.
I don't remember.
I know you don't remember.
I'm not questioning you. If you say it happened like that, then it happened.
Yeah, you say it happened like that, then it happened.
That's a guilty man's words, man.
Oh,
if it happened this way and it was true, we'd still be standing there arguing, me telling you you're full of shit.
18 minutes.
Of that
18 minutes we went round and round, and
that's probably the longest 18 minutes you got, right? Usually you're just like shoot away.
My wife watched the video afterwards, and I got a little emotional in the video, which is understandable, and she's like, hey, you need to calm down. I'm like, it's really hard to remain calm when, I mean, this dude did everything.
How long is that after you're gone?
That was November of 24. So I've been gone for 2 years at that point. Yeah. Yep. Because there were some other issues on that video that are going to come out later. That it was a complaint that I had taken as a captain and gave to him the week before I left, and he never followed up on it, never investigated it. So anyways, after this meeting with the chief, I called the city manager and said, hey, you got a problem. You got a chief who has issues with the truth. When he is confronted with things that he doesn't like, he lies. When he's backed against the wall, I said, I got an 18-minute video showing you what you have. And I went to my original one of my original chiefs. He was chief for 10 years, still lives in the area, been retired for a long time, but still 40 years in law enforcement, very respected guy. I went to him and said, hey, these are the issues I'm having with this new chief, showed him the video and everything. He went with me to the meeting with the city manager.
Good.
So you got a problem. This guy's a problem. Waited my time. He emails me back. In the emails back and forth, he kept trying to include the chief in my complaint. I'm like, come on, stop putting him in the email chain. This isn't how complaints work. So eventually he says, yes, the chief has admitted he didn't do what you said he didn't do. He lied about it. And so we're done. Okay. What are you doing to him? Oh, we're done. So I waited 180 days, did a public records request. Want any complaints in his file? They emailed me back, said there are no complaints. So I called the city manager. I said, how is it that he has no complaints in his file when I filed one? I sat in your office. We discussed it. He said, well, our policy is if there's no discipline, we don't document the complaint.
Beautiful.
I said, you do understand that that's not how the police officer bill of rights works. He's a sworn member of the agency. Therefore, he has to follow policy and the law. You can't do that. So I'm still fighting the city over how they handle their complaints.
Oh man. So yeah, I just, it's good. Like I said, I like seeing guys like you that, cause we always assume that what they make everybody believe is that the guy that is loud and fights back is the bad guy. And
how many times
there's not a better, unfortunately for you, and I say this, that you had to go through those critical incidents, but that kind of builds your reputation or your character in this area to say, like, this isn't some slug, this isn't some guy that was off and under the tree or got promoted because he didn't deserve it. This is a guy that did all those cool words like SWAT and detective and all that. So, kind of like Lance. Lance kind of got the same track to the top is K9, regular cop that goes to the top, and then you still deal with it, and it doesn't start until you have a mental health issue and you start to question what they're doing. And the second you step out of line in this job,
they don't like that.
Yeah. So it's a great story, and I can't wait for everybody to get an opportunity to listen to this. And
the fun part is he's ordered everybody in the department not to speak to me. Well, if they do talk to me,
now that we've talked, you have some. You got Lance. Now you got me.
Yeah.
We have some connections to some pretty good people in this world of accountability, and that's what I preach is accountability, and treat people the way you should be treating them, and don't do things differently because of your personal feelings or you're holding a grudge or whatever it may be. So
talking to Lance, he uses his 3 minutes at commission meetings, which is genius. And I'd never thought of doing that. So I've started using my 3 minutes, and I like to get up and talk. At the last commission meeting, well, the one before, I explained to the commission, because I've sent them documentation. I've sent them the emails back and forth with the city manager, with the complaint, everything. They know. And I flat told him, I said, your chief is a liar, and he doesn't need to be your chief. And when I said that he lies and he covers things up, failure to do his job, he sat and shook his head yes. My wife has it on video. Shook his head yes, agreed with what I was saying. And they just don't. He's a puppet. He does what they want him to do.
Yeah. And that's mine as a sheriff dealing with the commission, similar, but I just attended my first meeting. It's actually that part of my intro where the guy says he was nervous because I was in the building. I got verbally attacked by him, but that's where I'm at. That was my ice-breaking trip, and it went well. I got screamed and yelled at on video. So, but I think you're right, is the next step. But these platforms, because it's so isolated in those buildings, and I think you're right. You and Lance are right for going. I'm going to start going. That's one aspect, but I think these public platforms that get the reach where we get these videos out and citizens can see it and people can see what goes on. I think.
Hey, if you don't think it doesn't make commissioners nervous, just look at it's Palm Bay, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Where they said, unless you're a citizen, you can't come up and use your 3 minutes. You have to be a citizen. That's completely illegal. They can't do that.
Yeah, they're trying to limit it to people that live within that area. But if you drive through that area, you're affected by that area. If you live near that area, you're affected by that area. So
absolutely,
they try to suppress all that
stuff. Citizen.
Wow.
Well, and I went to another commission meeting I went to, and the chief was against the wall. He's got a lot of he's hooked in with this ministry, this church, and all of the department chaplains are from that church. He does a lot of stuff. He donates to them out of the forfeiture fund. It's some really weird thing. So one of the pastors gets up there and does a spiel about how fantastic our chief is. So he's standing up against the wall and he's pointing at my wife and he's going, listen, write that down. Take that picture. And he's
Cockiness, man.
he's just being,
Psychos.
he's being a clown.
That's
My
right.
wife, she says, what is this guy doing? I said, he can't control himself. That's what he does. So he walks by her later on.
That's right.
And my wife says to him quietly, we're in the back, says to him, says, hey, do you think that this is professional? Do you think mocking me in the corner is professional in any way? And he's, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. So I'm sitting, I said, he's of course leaning over her chair at this point. I said, hey man, I said, you know what she's talking about. I said, just stop. No, I don't know what you're talking about. So at this point I'm irritated. So I stood up and I walked over and I'm being quiet. I said, hey man, I said, look, you're a piece of shit. Just go away. And he goes, you can't say that to me. And I said, actually I can. It's called the First Amendment. You should look it up. My wife turns around and goes, yeah, you can, he can say it. You're a piece of shit. So you know where to find me, blah, blah, blah. You want to step outside. He did this to a friend of mine at a street fest. Same thing.
I got to go to Eustis. I just ordered my glasses, the recording glasses.
You got to come.
So I can't wait. I can't wait. Yeah.
So, because he just gets bent. So he starts getting louder and gets the attention of the commissioners. And the mayor's like, Chief. The city attorney's like, Chief, stop the meeting, Chief. And one of the commissioners said my name. I heard it and I was like, oh, sorry. Didn't mean to cause a disturbance. And he turns around, he walks away and he's like, come find me anytime. You want to find me? Come find me. I said, is this really the look you want? Are you threatening me?
That's actually better. That you want that though, honestly. It's better for you. It's better for you. It's better for you because my guy puts his head in the sand and hides. Your guy,
dude, when somebody shows you, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them.
Yep.
Oh, your sheriff likes to hide in the sand?
Yeah, I call him the ostrich. He buries his head in the sand and he won't come out and he won't respond to anything. And I was his best man. We were that close at one point in our lives. So I know everything about him. I know how panicked he gets, and I got something for him. So I appreciate you coming on. Man.
Isn't the guy in your intro the cop that's running says, "I'll shoot you in the back"?
That's Jerry Worms.
Okay.
Jerry Worms that's the first episode of Cops, Broward County, 1989. He's like the pioneer of cop work, and that was the very first episode where he yelled that. And he's a good friend of mine, and he's been down here to Florida. He was in Broward, and then he worked in Coral Springs, Cape Coral, whatever the one over here is.
Yeah.
And great dude. He's up in Tennessee now, retired. But I dug him out of retirement, where all these young kids looked up to that guy in that show, and were like, "Oh, I became a cop because of him." So. Yeah, it's Jerry Worm. Everybody in there is a really good dude. I only know there's two of them I don't know, but yeah, that's we'll see. I mean, he threatened my family. I still have two family members who work at the sheriff's office. He kind of made an idle threat to them, and now I'm wondering, he's connected to the sheriff through a nonprofit. He's a felon, and it's like, is the sheriff going to help him target my family? So that works there. So we'll see what happens. But when you get into this, you got to deal with that kind of stuff. So I really do appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you telling us your story about mental health, which is a huge problem. And we're trying to get more eyes and more people involved in that. I think personally, there should be a disability rating system in Florida, just like the military, where
100%.
You take a bullet in the neck, man, you don't get penalized. You go out right that day. And that might be 3 days in your career. It might be 3 years, 30 years, 3 years, whatever. But when you take that bullet or you get involved in that critical incident and you're having trouble, we should cash your retirement that day and be like, hey man, appreciate it, man. We'll find somebody else to do this job. You deserve to move on if you want to. Like if there's any,
give you the opportunity to heal.
Yes, or say, you might need 2 years, 3 years. But I got a guy on that gets fired for having cancer. I got a guy on I had a guy that gets fired for tearing his shoulders, and another girl I know that I'm going to have on probably soon that is in trouble for getting injured and having an on-work injury that can't come back to work, and they're let go. And it should never be like that. It should never be like that when you are disposable. Like you said. Oh, you said something very interesting. You're always on duty, and to the agency, you're always on duty until they want you to be off duty, which is when you're broken and sitting at home looking at the wall. Like,
we're disposable.
We got to get rid of him now. So
we're disposable, and that's wrong.
Yep. Gary, I appreciate it, man, and thank you so much for coming on and telling your story. I'm sure we'll be in touch more, and I'm telling you, I'll take you up on that offer. I'd like to come over there and meet everybody. And
definitely
have them hate me. So, anything closing? You good? Everything good?
Yeah, everything's good. At this point, I'm healthy. We were at a commission meeting last night. A commissioner came over. He's been a commissioner for years and years and years, and he said, "Hey, man," he said, "you look good," and I said, "Yeah, I feel good. I'm healthy." Good. And that's all I wanted was to go get healthy. So
that's the mission. So thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me.
I'm the only white face in this area. You don't belong here. Stop, I'll shoot you in the back.
Unfortunately, I got a little nervous tonight because Copville was in the building, so I'm trying to compose myself.